What's up, vinyl community? Greg here with another action-packed fun video. No, maybe not. I'm not here to talk about records today. I'm here to make a answer response video to an interesting video I just saw, and his name is Cheap CD Reviews by Shawn. And there's a small channel by a guy named Shawn. I like his attitude and his so he just did a video called among other things, 5 overused words in the VC. And he named words like shoegaze and adjacent. I'm going to add my own words because I just think that's an interesting topic. Words that are overused in the VC. The first one is VC. What? How could that? Yeah, because it's exclusionary. It's not inclusive because it makes no sense to people who are not in the vinyl community. And if you want the vinyl community to grow and prosper, you should be inclusive, and you should not use exclusionary jargon. Every hobby, every business, industry does that, and it's very natural to do. But I always push back on it. And literally at business meetings at work, I say, hey, don't use jargon, don't use abbreviations, use words that everyone can understand. Otherwise, I'm going to have to stop you and say, what does that stand for? The average normal person out there thinks that VC stands for venture capital, or maybe the Viet Cong if you were, 50 years ago. I would at least explain VC, vinyl community, before you just keep using VC. Yeah, that's my opinion. The VC is becoming very cliquish. And I mean, if you use the VC for your social interaction and your friends, and that's great, but keep that open to always inviting new people in. To me, it's more about the music. It's very much about a lot of the people, but to me, it's music first and the community second. Maybe I'm an outsider in that. Okay, that's number one. What is number two? Overused word, pressing. Okay. The word pressing is the appropriate word when you're talking about pressings, but this obsession with pressings to me is obsessive, and it again becomes more about being a collector than about a music fan. And I'm more of a music listener than I am a pressing collector or a pressing obsessive. Is that a Japanese, or is that an import? Which plant was it made in? I don't care that much. As long as it sounds good or better, except I have pressings that probably don't sound that good, but I don't obsess about it. When I look at my records, I'm not instantly, I know where it was pressed. I know who played bass and who played drums. And but I don't necessarily know who pressed it, where it was pressed. What kind of machine was it? Was it hydraulic or electric? Who cares? Let's decompress the obsession with pressings. Just my opinion. You probably all disagree with me, and I would love that. Shawn, on his video, used the word audiophile as one of the top 5 overused words, and I'm going to agree with that. I used to consider myself an audiophile, and there's a lot of controversy, or I should say criticism, about people that are listened to their stereos as opposed to listening to the music on their stereos. I do both, okay? I would rather listen to a crappy transistor radio with great music than a great stereo with crappy music, okay? So to me, it's all about the music. But the sound experience of listening to stuff on a very good system with sound staging and a center phantom channel where you actually hear instruments that come not from the speakers, but from the middle of the speakers. That's an amazing jaw-dropping experience. And you don't have to have an audiophile system to do that. I can get that effect with my cheap rock speakers in the garden in the backyard, simply because there's no walls to bounce the music off, and it's very pure and direct. So you can have audiophile music listening experiences without spending zillions of dollars on a system if you have it set up right and you know what you're looking for. What does the word audiophile even mean? Is a person an audiophile? That's what the word means. A record cannot be an audiophile record. It's a good pressing, but an audiophile is somebody who loves audio. Like an audiophobe is somebody who doesn't like. Maybe I should become an audiophobic. Maybe I should change my channel name to the Audiophobe instead of the Audiophile. Audiophile, it implies people that are obsessed with cables, What are your cables made out of? I went through that. I went through that mental illness for years. I made my own cables. I bought fancy cables. I switched out cables. I got 3 words. What are my other words? We got pressing, we got audiophile, we got Mazzy. That's a word we hear too often. Check out Shawn, because he's got an interesting channel, and I like his attitude. So thank you, Shawn, for coming up with that idea. He didn't mean to turn it into a thread. I'm hijacking his video and turning it into a thread. Maybe it'll just be a thread of 2 of us. But what are the 4 or 5 most overused words in the VC, the vinyl community? What about VCLT? That's also an annoying phrase. The vinyl community love train. I'm just giving you a gift. Okay, is it love? I don't know. Maybe we overuse the word love to mean something when it's not that strong. You're my acquaintance. I sent you some discs because I like you and I want to get these discs off my shelf, but that doesn't mean I love you. I could go either way in that. If you really want to show the love, show the love. Maybe I don't like that word because no one sends me any love, but that's okay. I'm used to being unloved. Oh, what was the last one? And the word tag, vinyl tag. What is a vinyl tag? The word tag means you tag a friend. And now we've evolved into this vinyl tag phrase that has nothing to do with tagging a friend. Now we're changing it to mean something about a giant list of trotting out 20 records every January. I happen to believe that words should retain their original meaning unless there's a really good reason to change it, unless we didn't have a word that meant that. But the word tag doesn't need to go into this. The vinyl people use the word differently than the rest of the planet. We're stuck with it. I know we're going to keep using it, but aren't we sick of hearing the vinyl tag? All right, guys, that's my inane rant for the day. Probably shouldn't subscribe unless you like hearing about crabby old man talk. So thank you anyway. Bye-bye.